or discriminating against people or conning people, and not using that money simply to prosecute people for marijuana-related offenses. Because at the end of the day, you're not protecting our communities. And I see this all the time with these dispensary busts all over the state. I talk to all these people who are, up north, for instance, in a variety of counties in Grand Traverse and in Benzie, and they've shut down all the dispensaries. And the thing that these dispensaries had in common was this: no one was complaining about them in the community. Yeah. No one was saying that there was something unsafe that was happening or that it was a threat to anyone, and yet they go in and they shut them down anyway. And in the same time, I see in some of these local areas horrific acts of environmental damage that are being done, and nobody's doing anything about it. And these literally are communities of people that are being poisoned, being actually poisoned. The AG's office does nothing. But believe me, they're active in shutting down dispensaries that nobody complained about in the first place.
Yes, they are.
Well, I think everybody here in this room hopes that you will be our next Attorney General and that you will serve us as long as Frank Kelly served this state.
Hear, hear.
Yes.
Hold on,
well, we have term limits, so I don't think that can happen. Right. But I hear you.
I was going to say,
I appreciate the sentiment.
Just to comment on your last point, I mean, in light of the fact that Bill Schuette has been the most, I've got cases with them all over the state with, and they're still fighting about the dispensary issues. I just get a sense that a woman, it was in Kent County, but the idea that the Attorney General's office has advised Lara about the existing facilities, that they can stay open, which is fine. I'm not opposing that because they're needed. But the idea that they now say that this behavior that they have called not just felonious but racketeering in the case that I've had is all of a sudden okay until they're denied by the state.
Lawful behavior.
So it can't be reconciled. You know what I mean? They've criminalized, felonized, and then today, then all of a sudden it's like, okay, and now Lara's all of a sudden, the authority. They've never taken this position before on this issue by the advice of the Attorney General that existing facilities can stay open and it won't be held against them that it's felonious and that it's amoral. And those are the things that are required to, not have if you're going to get a state license. But so yes, it's been quite a.
Did they actually say
dishonest.
that, or did they just say it wouldn't be held against them?
Well, the point being, if you're running a dispensary in a time when the state is prosecuting for felonious behavior and forfeiting property and all that goes along with that, and then they specifically say that if you have one of these, and so long as you shut down by this period of time was the first emergency rule, then they came up with additional rules that take you all the way in the middle of the summer before you would have to shut down. All that behavior does not preclude you. That behavior alone, there may be other reasons that you can be denied, but they're not going to hold against you the fact that you've been operating as other people have and have been prosecuted for felonies and racketeering. That to me it cannot be reconciled. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Anyways, a lot of dishonesty.
Well, I think and that's the thing, I think we need people who are making the appointments to these state agencies, who are serving on these state agencies, that, are not of the mindset that marijuana is something that we have to, use any and all resources to go after. I mean, we so badly need a change of perspective in this state, and I'm just so bewildered at the things that our state, and our state actors seem just obsessed with. And the obsession with marijuana, I don't understand it now. I will never understand it. I think historically, one day when we're beyond all of this, one day when we've had legalization and the stigma has been removed and people considered to be no different than any other medication, for instance, that you might be prescribed and take, or even, having a glass of wine or a beer at your favorite brewery. One day that will happen, and I think we're going to all look back over the course of these many decades since marijuana has become illegal, and I know that there's a lengthy history in terms of why that happened in the first place, and I think we're all going to be shocked by it and horrified by it, and maybe our grandkids, our great-great-grandkids, they'll never understand it except for the fact that their ancestors were kind of crazy, and it was a time in our nation's history that's regrettable. That's how I feel about it.
I've said that many times in court. We look back with the same sense of shame that we look back at our treatment of the Native Americans, of slavery in this country, of women's rights, and we're going to look back on this marijuana persecutions in the same way. We're talking with Dana Nessel here, in case anybody joined late, who is the Democratic, running for Democratic nomination for Attorney General, and hopefully will be our next Attorney General. Yes. And we all need to support her at the next conference.
I have to run in a little bit, but if I'm able to make a shameless plug on your show, I'd be greatly appreciative.
Please.
And that said, if people want more information about my candidacy, please go to my website, which is dana2018.com. And what I think people need to understand about the process, if people are listening to me now on this podcast and they think, wow, I would really like to support, this woman for Attorney General, I think it's important that people understand that we don't have a primary system, either in the Republican or the Democratic Party. We have a convention system for the offices, the down-ballot offices of Attorney General or Secretary of State, Michigan Supreme Court, Board of Governors, and so forth. And so the way that I would potentially even end up on the ballot in the first place in November of 2018 is it's through the convention process, which means what people have to do is this. You have to sign up for the Michigan Democratic Party. And for those of your listeners, whether or not you've ever thought of yourself as a Democrat, maybe you think that you're an independent, maybe you even consider yourself to be a Republican, but you want to see me on the ballot because you want to vote for me, sign up for the Michigan Democratic Party, and you can do that online. You can do it through my website, and it's free. You don't have to pay any money. You just sign up for it. You get your name in there, and you're registered. And on April 15th of 2018, the Democratic Party will have their convention. It will take place in Cobo Hall in the city of Detroit, and you get to sit with your congressional district and you get to vote on all of these offices. So that's when your listeners will have the ability to say, I want to vote for Dana Nessel to be our next Attorney General and to be on the ballot in November of 2018. That's the only way I can possibly be on the ballot. And I have to say that I'm really counting on the cannabis community to support me. I've obviously taken a very strong position on that. I'm unwavering when it comes to this issue. I hope that your listeners will understand that. But I cannot get on the ballot without the support of the cannabis community. So, you can go onto my website, you can sign up, and we will have your information, and that way we can assist. We're trying to make whatever arrangements we can that if people can't afford it because they're outstate, that we help make arrangements for transportation to get them down to the city of Detroit on April 15th and to make certain that they can have their voices heard and they can vote. So that's something that's critically important, and I hope that you guys will make an effort to, continually remind people about that process. So that people don't wake up and it's November and why am I not in the ballot? So it's a very, very important process. So I'm hopeful that you'll be able to discuss that with people and get people involved.
I think there's a massive segment of the cannabis community that is talking about it. I have seen leaders, just in unison. I've seen
many people are joining specifically for this.
Republicans saying that
flipping
they're going to go to the Democrats and that they're going to attend the convention. It's been phenomenal. So
let's talk. Let's make it happen. That's the point.
Yeah.
It's there. The message is still getting people there, making sure. And she's offering and explaining ways that the transportation can be arranged. And we are going to make the same offer. We're going to put up the link to this particular how to sign up through the MMA.
Yeah,
Dana, we should make sure that we have that so we can get it out to the patient.
Put the link up.
Right, and but this is the point here that none of it matters unless the convention votes for Dana as the candidate. So there's a process that is in front of us that if people show up and they realize that this is an important issue and we have to have the right candidate for legalization, otherwise we're going to have a lot of the same BS, whomever that other person may be. They have to act. It's time to be active. It's time to show up and participate in the process and make it happen. It's an important issue to bring it to the polls anyways to vote. If you want to vote for it, it is meaningless unless those that are going to have the authority to enforce legalization are the right people. Dan, I can't thank you enough for calling in. I know you got to go. I should remind people that if you do go to Dana's website, please notice that there is a big cannabis leaf on her website. You will not find this on any other Attorney General's website anywhere.
It's funny because I was advised strongly not to do that, and I said I don't care. I want people to know that I support legalization of marijuana, and I threw it up there, and I don't have no regrets about it. Again, I want people to be as informed as possible about my candidacy and to understand my positions. And just one last thing, if your listeners want to support my candidacy, and we want to make sure, again, that we can get people into the convention and that we can fund that to happen, if your listeners can make even just a $25 donation to my campaign right at Dana2018.com, it would be incredibly helpful, and I really appreciate you guys giving me the opportunity to talk about my candidacy on your podcast.
Anytime, Dana.
We'll see you April 15th, if not sooner.
That's right.
At Cobo Hall.
Yes. To nominate
That's right.
Dana.
Thanks, guys.
Have a great night. Thank you.
Really appreciate it. Great talking to you. Bye-bye.
So I just want to make sure everyone understands that I'm not voting for Pat Miles. Ever.
Nope. Me either. Nope. I'll vote for a Republican. Seriously. To make sure that Pat Miles...
He's not kidding.
To make sure that Pat Miles does not make it.
Correct.
Well, you're so.
And if the Democrats make the mistake of not making Dana the candidate,
it's going to be.
I don't know what I'm going to do.
It's going to be Bernie times 2.
So for all the listeners out there, please make sure that Chad doesn't have to vote for a Republican.
Yeah, Chad,
just sign up for the party.
If you think he's grumpy now,
sign up for the party and go on April 15th to Cobo. There's going to be a lot of people there.
Yeah, it's going to be a good
fun time.
We can go to Cobo Joe's.
Yeah, and we can campaign for Dana in the convention. And I'm pretty convinced that it's the teachers within the Democratic Party that are against marijuana.
Yeah. We'll be right back. Call-in numbers 224-803-3098.
Hello. How are you? Have you been all right through all those lonely, 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 lonely nights? That's what I'd say. I'd tell you everything if you'd pick up that telephone. Yeah, yeah. Hey, how you feeling? Are you still the same? Don't you realize the things we did were all for real, not a dream? I just can't believe they've all faded out of you. Whoa, yeah, yeah. Ooh, do up, do up, do I do like blue days, black nights? Do I do like? I look into the sky